Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to break down why your very best global content might be completely falling flat in the United Arab Emirates. The solution? Well, it lies in a new metric called sovereign alignment. And trust me, it could totally transform your strategy for the entire region. Okay, let's dive right in with a question that, might feel a little too familiar if you're a B2B marketer targeting the UAE. You spend a ton on these amazing, high-quality white papers, things that work great everywhere else. But when they get in front of the key people in the UAE, you get crickets, right? So what gives? Wow, the source material we're looking at today really doesn't pull any punches with this statement, does it? That whole standard playbook of creating neutral, globally relevant content, the kind of thing that kills it in New York or London, it's seen in a totally different light in the UAE. It doesn't come across as professional, it comes across as completely disconnected. So why does this professional approach backfire so spectacularly? Well, it all boils down to one simple thing: a fundamental difference in how trust is built. Showing up with global best practices completely misses the mark because the UAE isn't just playing catch-up. It's running a highly coordinated national plan, and they expect business to be right there with them, in lockstep. And this slide right here, this leaves out the core of the issue. It's like night and day. In many Western markets, we trust independent companies to be the experts. But in the UAE, the model is flipped on its head. It's a governance-led trust model. The government sets the vision, and trust is earned by the companies that step up and say, "We're your partners in making this happen." So here it is, the absolute bottom line for any senior decision maker in the UAE. Every proposal, every piece of content, every pitch gets run through one single filter. And if your content doesn't scream the answer to that question, how you help them achieve their national vision, it's not just a miss, it's a huge red flag that you just don't get what they're trying to do. Okay, so we understand the problem. That's half the battle, right? But what's the fix? Well, the source we're looking at proposes a brand new framework, one designed to measure if your content is even fit for purpose in the UAE. And it's called the Sovereign Alignment Score. And let's be really clear here. We're not talking about your typical vanity metrics. Forget clicks or time on page. This is a qualitative score that cuts right to the chase. It asks, is your message actually relevant to the country's most important goals? It's about resonance, not just reach. This table just makes it so clear. Look at the global generic content. Total score of 0-3 gets completely ignored. Then you level up to regional acknowledgement. A little better, maybe a manager finds it useful, but it goes no further. But the magic, that's at the sovereign partner level. You're not just talking about cloud computing anymore. You're talking about advancing the UAE digital economy strategy. That's the stuff that gets passed up to boards and ministers. So the big question is, how do you get that high score? How do you hit an 8, 9, or 10? Well, it all starts with the words you use. You have to ditch the generic corporate jargon and start speaking what the source calls the sovereign lexicon. You have to speak their language. And what that really means is you anchor everything, and I mean everything, in these core national strategies. Don't think of these as just boring policy papers. No, this is the country's master plan. This is the roadmap for the entire nation. Your content has to show exactly where your solution fits on this map. And here's exactly how to do it. It's a simple but powerful reframe. Instead of vaguely talking about economic growth, you talk about contributing to the forward economy, a specific pillar of their national vision. Your CSR isn't just some corporate thing. It's a direct contribution to building the forward society. See that shift? It changes the entire conversation. And this same idea applies to absolutely everything. You don't just say you're green. No, you explain how you help meet the industrial goals of Operation 300 billion. You're not just selling AI, you're showing how you align with the national strategy for AI by helping establish the UAE as a global leader in AI governance. You're connecting your product to a national mission. All right, let's look at a company that is doing this absolutely perfectly. IBM's work with the UAE Ministry of Climate Change is basically a masterclass in sovereign alignment. So, how did they do it? Well, first off, they didn't lead with boring software features. Instead, they framed their technology as a solution to a huge national priority: food and water security. This immediately aligned their work with the country's strategic goals like Net Zero 2050. And the result? They stopped being just another tech vendor and got positioned as a key partner in the nation's long-term stability. Here's another fantastic example. Schneider Electric consistently shows how deeply committed they are to the UAE's economic fabric. What Schneider Electric does so well is focus on something called in-country value, or ICV. You have to understand, this is a massive metric for procurement in the UAE. So by constantly highlighting their local manufacturing and their investment in Emirati talent, they send a signal that's impossible to miss. It says, we're not just here to make a quick profit. We are here to build with you. That's the message. All right, let's bring all this together into a simple, practical checklist you can use. Before you hit publish on anything for the UAE, you need to run it through what the source calls the national filter. It's just 3 easy steps. First, the policy check. Can you name the specific national strategy your content supports? If you even hesitate, it's not ready. Second, the data check. Are your numbers UAE specific, or are you just using lazy global averages? And third, and this one is huge, the tone check. Do you sound like a committed partner helping them, or do you sound like an outside expert telling them what to do? And that brings us to the final provocative thought here. In a country so driven by its own powerful sovereign ambition, having a great product just isn't enough anymore. Real persuasion, real trust, and yeah, real success, all of it comes from showing you are authentically aligned with the nation's story. So you have to ask yourself, what role are you really playing?